Hello there, early teens. How are you today? This is Pastor Bryan Gallant, and I'm working closely with Pastor Seth Coridan, and we are providing the early teen videos for you during this camp meeting of 2020, where we're having to do things a little bit differently because of the virus and things. And I'm about to sneeze. Okay, try to stop. All right, we'll see. How'd you like to slow motion sneeze on camera? Well, hey, we're sorry that we're not with you personally to play football and to throw things and to have fun chasing and the remote control cars and neat things that Pastor Seth and others have brought. And of course, don't forget Pastor Mackenzie and Foursquare. Man, we're missing that this year, but please, we wanted you to know that we're praying for you and we're praying that God will work in your lives. And so what we're going to do is something really unique. We're putting together some videos. Pastor Seth is going to be doing some fantastic nature videos, and I have begun a series of stories called Uncle Bryan's Stories Worth Repeating. And you might see the background here, and this is my friend Otong. And so what we'll do on these evenings, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sabbath, we're going to create or put together some videos for you to watch and to be blessed. And so what you're going to need to do, though, young people, this is important. You need to write down this phone number, area code 314-244-3810. Get that again? And maybe I'll even put it on there in the bottom. We'll see how much editing I can do. But write it down, area code 314-244-3810. That is the number that you can send us prayer requests and messages, but also we're sending you on a scavenger hunt through camp meeting. And you're saying, what do you mean scavenger hunt? What are we supposed to do? Go finding things here and there? Well, yes. From the stories that Uncle Bryan's going to share and the stories and teachings that Pastor Seth is going to be sharing, we're going to ask you some questions to go and find. And what you'll do is some of them will be in the Bible, some of them will be in nature. You may need to take a picture, whatever it may be, and then you send it to that phone number. Now, you might want to just keep one document and use that document and put in your answers and then eventually send that to us, because what's going to happen is we're going to take the top 5 of those documents and answers, and you're going to get a gift certificate to the ABC, the Adventist Book Center, to the store to be able to buy something of your choosing. And so we're excited about that. So we're glad you're with us here this evening, today as you're watching here. And so today's video that I'm kicking off here is going to begin with a story about failure. Okay? So you're going to have a link there where you're going to go to Uncle Bryan's Stories Worth Repeating and watch a story about failure. And then, while you're doing that, your first question for today within the videos of Uncle Bryan's Stories Worth Repeating, the first question that you need to be looking for is, as you watch that video about failure, look for the verse and chapter that I reference in the end of the video. And what I'd like you to do is find the verse, write it down, put it in your document, but then go to the full chapter. And I want you to read that chapter because it's an awesome chapter. And tell us 3 things that you really like about that chapter. And put that in your document and prepare to send it to us. And then you're going to have a fantastic nature story by Pastor Seth. And then come back to the last story where you're going to go listen to Uncle Bryan again and Otong sharing with you a story about being a winner. And I know you're going to love that. So hey, boys and girls, young people, men and women, early teens, thanks so much for joining us. May God bless you. We are praying for you during this special time. I know it's been a weird beginning of the year, and the virus has really messed some things up. And so we're praying for you, that God will work in your lives. And if you've got a prayer request or a special need, send us a message. Remember that number? Area code 314-244-3810. Let Pastor Seth and myself know how we can be praying for you. Okay, hope you enjoy the stories. I hope they touch your heart and bless you abundantly. And we'll see you tomorrow. God bless. This is not... Was this your idea? What? That's dumb. I can't even hit the... Hi there. How are you today? These are just some ideas that I think need to go away. But I'm glad you're here. This is Uncle Bryan and what's his face? We're still looking for a name. We've told stories around the world to many boys and girls, and I'm so glad you're here with me today for another story called Failure. And this story comes from a boy a long time ago. His name was Richard. And Richard was working really hard. Not your name. No, your name's not Richard. No, not yet. In fact, remember, boys and girls, we're waiting to have a vote. We've got some votes that have come in. Georgie, Finnegan, Oliver, Rango, Otong. They're all getting voted for. Please help us choose a good name for this guy so I can actually call him by name from now on. But until then, let me tell you about Richard. Richard had been working hard for weeks. Have you ever done a project that took weeks? He was bending the little metal strips. He was pulling them together. He was covering it with thin paper. And he had gotten this beautiful looking balloon that was finished. Let me show you a picture here. Can you see it here? There we go, a nice little balloon picture. Yeah, so he had just made this balloon and he was getting ready to tell all of his friends to come and watch because he was going to have it go up in the air. And you say, how can it go up in the air? Well, because the type of balloon it was thin metal, and it had thin paper around it that had been glued on there and got on there, and the plan was to put a little bit, to light a little bit of cotton on the bottom, and as the heated air would fill up the balloon, then the balloon would fly. And so Richard had all of his friends there. This was before Facebook. This is before he could be on social media. He had told his friends, and they had come out of their houses, and they were all standing around looking at this balloon and saying, ooh, ah, ooh. And the guy was saying, how'd you do that? And Richard took his time to explain it all. He was feeling really proud of himself. And it came time, finally, when no more questions. And they said, let's see it fly. Come on, Richard, you can do it. And so very carefully, he got up underneath there where it was all set up, and he lit the cotton ball with a match, and the fire started, and sure enough, the balloon began to go up, because as the air was heated, the hot air rises compared to the rest of the air, and so the balloon got up higher and higher, and Richard was, it's working, and the others were so surprised, and there may be a nice little girl that he was wondering about. She was sitting there with her mouth hanging open, as it went up higher and higher, but then all of a sudden, there was a burst of wind, and the wind blew the flame a little bit over this way as it's going up the balloon, and the flame touched the paper. And all of a sudden, the flame began to burn the paper, and very quickly, and the balloon fell to the ground. Fire had destroyed all the paper in a big old burst of flames, and there it was on the ground, and all the friends were like, and Richard was embarrassed, humiliated. He just ran home. He didn't even say anything to his friends. He ran home, ran upstairs into his bedroom and slammed the door and laid on his bed. And he just, and he started making noise. I made it. And he's up there, and his dad had heard him come running in the house. And so his father went upstairs. He knocked gently on the door. Richard, may I come in? Oh, go ahead, Dad. I'm nothing. I'm such a failure. I'll never do anything like that again. And Dad walked in. I said, Richard, what happened, son? And Richard said, Dad, I spent all that time, and I made the balloon, and then it just burned right in front of all my friends. He says, oh, okay. Well, that's all right. Richard said, what do you mean that's all right? It's not all right. He says, of course it's all right. Do you realize, son, that failure is incredibly important? Huh? What do you mean failure? Oh, yes. Everyone wants to fail and succeed only only those who fail greatly can ever succeed greatly. That's a special quote from Robert Kennedy. And Richard's like, what do you mean, Dad? He says, yes. He said, now you have something that you can put into your rubbish heap. He said, rubbish heap? Failure? What do you mean? I don't understand, Dad. He says, oh, come on, son. See, look at the light bulb. Thank you for your help. My wonderful assistant. Can you hand that to me? That's probably not a good idea. Okay. He said, look up at the light. Who made that? Well, he said, I think the first light bulb was produced by Thomas Edison. He said, that's right. How many times do you think Thomas Edison tried on this? Well, I don't know, Dad. Did he work 3 or 4 weeks on it also? The dad laughs and said, no. He failed more than 1,000 times. 1,000 times? That's right. In fact, one time, a reporter came up and said, Edison, don't you feel like a failure? You have failed 1,000 times to be able to produce this thing. And Edison said, oh, no, I'm not a failure. Building a light bulb just took 1,000 steps. No, but he kept trying over and over again. Maybe you guys don't think about Edison too much. But you know what? If you go to some of his places, they have kept the rubbish heap so you could see the evidences of the things that he had done wrong. And he kept, and each time he learned and got better and better. And so Richard began thinking about that and says, really, Dad? He said, yes. Now you need to learn from your mistake, pick yourself back up, and try again. And this time make it better. And Richard thought, really? You know, boys and girls, that's what Richard did. He continued to try. Now, I've got 2 little quiz questions for you. And you may have to have your parents help you with this one here. Think of someone who has failed a lot and yet still succeeded. You got to pick yourself up. In fact, President Lincoln is reported to have said, I'm not so concerned that you've fallen, but that you rise. Get back up. Try harder. Learn from every mistake. Never waste a good failure. Never. So I've got 2 people. I want you to guess who they are, okay? One of these persons has missed baskets more than 9,000 times. Can you imagine? 9,000 shots. That's worse than me. Well, not exactly. He's lost more than 300 games, and 26 times the coach has left the game into his hands, and he missed and they lost the game. 26 times. He has failed over and over again. Do you know who that person is? Michael Jordan, the basketball phenomenal star. He kept trying over and over again. How about this one? This person could not even speak before the age of 4. He just ran around the world going, making noises. Couldn't speak. Couldn't read until he was 7 years old. In fact, he was kicked out of schools. His teachers came and told his parents, we think that he is socially unable to function. He's not going to be very smart. Do you know who that person was? He eventually learned how to read. He eventually learned how to do some math. His name was Albert Einstein. Do you know who he is? He had even worse hair than I do right now during the COVID-19 cloistering here in the house. I can't get my hair cut. But Einstein, he had all kinds of wacky hair. And it had a brilliant mind because he didn't give up and he didn't listen to the other people telling him to stop. And boys and girls, I hope right now that you're reminded to never give up too. You know, the Bible actually teaches that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. There is no one else in the world like you. And God wants to see you try and try again and be the best that you can be. So don't ever give up. Remember Richard, remember his fiery balloon, and remember the rubbish heap of Edison, and keep going, keep trying. You can do it. I believe in you. And don't forget, send me your votes here. We got to give this guy a name. Okay? So let the light bulb go on and send me a name. Bye-bye.
Hi boys and girls, this is Seth Coridan again. I want to share with you today a little video about spiders. We're going to show you some live spiders. We're going to have you hunt for some spiders yourself. I'm going to tell you interesting things, hopefully some things you didn't know about spiders. And we're going to have a scavenger hunt, just as in each of the videos we'll do. We'll give you a way, you have to watch the video. At the beginning of the video, you'll see on the screen, and at the end of the video, a way to contact us. So if you contact us with each of the answers to the scavenger hunt, it'll probably be a picture of something or possibly a scripture text or something. So be listening for the hints in the scavenger hunt throughout the video. So I'm going to tell you about spiders. I enjoy spiders. Some people are afraid of them. When a person's afraid of spiders, they're said to be arachnophobic. But really, arachnids include a lot more things than just spiders. Arachnids include harvestmen, mites, ticks, scorpions, and spiders are all included in the arachnid group. So this is Rosie, the tarantula. She's my pet. She can live to be 20, 25 years. Really, they believe that female tarantulas could live a lot longer than that even, but they've not been really kept real regularly in the pet trade for long enough to know the full extent of their lifespan. Now Rosie here is also called a Argentinian rose-haired tarantula. She's probably the most common tarantula that's kept in the pet industry in the United States, partly because they are very docile spiders. Now Rosie here doesn't see very far. I don't know if you can tell, but she's got her little eyes right there. And spiders usually have anywhere from 6 to 8 eyes is what is usually on them. Some spiders see very well. Rosie does not. Probably the best spider for the best eyesight is a jumping spider. We're going to show you some of those. But Rosie sees, they believe, about 8 inches. So she can see about that far in front of her. Not very far. Far enough to catch her prey, though, because she waits for it to get close. And when she feels it on these little hairs on her legs, then she knows whatever it is that she's going to eat is nearby. Now, you probably know a few things about spiders. For a long time, people thought that spiders had 6 legs. But now they know they have 8 legs. So if you counted around, you'd see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, I must have did something wrong, huh? Spiders are supposed to have 8 legs. So what you do is you count 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the 4 legs on that side. And you would count from the back forward on this side 4 legs. These next 2, those are called pedipalps. And they're considered more like hands for the spider. So she doesn't use those so much to walk. She uses those to touch and move things. And she'll use those pedipalps to move stuff up to her mouth, which is her chelicerae. Those looks like giant fangs on the front of her. And her fangs are really inside, coming out of the edge of those chelicerae. All spiders have fangs. All spiders have venom glands. And they have spinnerets that they spin silk with, spider silk. Spider silk is considered to be stronger than steel if you had a thin piece of steel the size of a spider silk. They use it for all sorts of things. Spiders use their spider silk not just to spin webs, but they will make little tents. We're going to look at a spider that makes something called a pup tent that it lives in every night. Rosie here, she spins kind of a little tent for her house, or little lines the edge of her burrow with spider silk. Spiders, there's so many different ways that they use it. Diving spiders, we're going to show you a picture of a diving spider here in just a second. Diving spiders will use the silk to help them carry an air bubble down to a little tent that they've made underwater, and they'll release that air bubble up into that tent till they get oxygen in there, and they will live in a tent. They're a type of diving spider or bell spider. A male and a female will set up their tents underwater next to each other and then build a little third tent connecting the two where they'll place air bubbles and the eggs. So each little spider egg has an air bubble all its own, and when that little spider hatches, then it needs to use up its air and then go to the surface and eventually build its own little diving tent for its air. Now Rosie here has something that's kind of unique to tarantulas. They have what's called urticating hairs. If you were to look at the back of Rosie here on her abdomen, you're going to see all kinds of little hairs making her abdomen fuzzy, and she can take and pull off those hairs and flip them into the eyes of birds and predators that might cause harm to them, and those hairs can infect and the eye or whatever sensitive tissue they've gotten into. They have little hooks on the end of those hairs. Now spiders do something else interesting. It's called molting. They have an exoskeleton. So we have bones and things in our body, but spiders don't have bones in their body. They have an exoskeleton where the outside of their body gets hard. The inside of that exoskeleton is soft and fluids and stuff. In fact, we have a circulatory system where we have blood vessels and veins that flow all through our body, that our blood stays in those vessels and flows then away from and back to our heart. Spiders have what's called an open circulatory system, meaning that the blood in a spider goes through the heart, it pumps it out through some vessels, but then it goes to each section of the body, the legs, the cavities, so forth of the body, and then it flows into the open fluid of the spider. And this is what allows spiders to jump and move in the way that they do, is through hydraulic pressure. They pump up the pressure in each segment of their body. So in their legs and stuff, they can pump up that pressure and allows them, jumping spiders and stuff, to jump very high. Well, so they molt. When they grow, then that exoskeleton has to split apart, and they have an exoskeleton then inside that is soft and expands larger than the one that they molt from. And then they're vulnerable for a little while until that exoskeleton hardens. Now, Rosie and other tarantulas that I've had, when they've molted, it's kind of an unusual experience, because you'll come and look inside the cage and you'll think that your tarantula has died, because the exoskeleton of the tarantula will flip over on its back and come out the bottom of the exoskeleton, the old one, the molt, and it'll look as if you have a dead spider, like you have two spiders. If you look around, you'll find the live one, and one right in plain sight is usually the molt. And it looks as if your spider died. So this is how Rosie and others shed their exoskeletons. The male tarantulas don't live very long. Missouri here has a native tarantula in it. It's called the Missouri tarantula, or Texas brown tarantula is another name for the same one. They get very large, about the same size as Rosie here. So you may have found one in the wild. It'd be fun to look for one. I used to have a pet Texas brown or Missouri spider. My little daughter, when she was a baby, got a hold of it, and that was the end of my spider. Rosie here we've had for probably about 5-6 years now. She's made a nice little pet. They're easy to take care of and feed. We've offered her crickets and stuff. That's what she usually eats. So if they're not very, Rosie is not very aggressive, but if she were to bite you, it would be with these fangs on the front, and it might feel like a bee sting. It would probably hurt more from the puncture wound, because her fangs are so large, than from the venom that she would inject. But I want to show you a few other spiders. Now, before I do that, spiders have all kinds, I told you, of ways they use the silk. She lines her tunnel with it, her little home. Some spiders spin the web, and they will catch flies and insects in those webs. Other spiders will spin some silk, and they will lower it down like a fishing line to catch insects on it. Some spiders will make a little net that they'll spread between their legs, and they'll jump and capture something in that net. Some spiders will shoot kind of a glob of the silk goo that will harden, and like glue whatever victim it is that they're trying to capture to something so they can go and get it. There's all kinds of different ways that spiders use their silk to capture things. They have spinnerets that they spin it from the back end here. All right, I want to show you a different spider, so I'm going to put Rosie here away. Put her back in this little jar here. I'm going to put a picture up on the screen here, and I want to see if you can recognize what spider this is. Maybe some of you know your spiders. And then I'm going to get a live spider and show it to you. So take a guess. What do you think that spider is? Okay, were you able to figure out what it was? Well, I've got a live one right here. I think this is a wolf spider. There are many different kinds of wolf spiders. We think this is a Hogna wolf spider, as best we can tell. We're no spider expert though. I'll tell you a little bit about it, and then I'm going to get the spider out. Now Daniel's kind of worried here. He's filming for us. We've not gotten this wolf spider out before, but we're going to get it out and see how it goes. We fed it earlier, so I'm going to show you a video of it eating as well. But wolf spiders are an active hunting spider. They don't spin webs with their silk. They'll make egg sacs with their silk, and they'll carry their little egg sac on their back around with them, or some of them will hang the egg sac up when they go scurrying along to go hunting, and will come back and collect their egg sac. They will aggressively defend their egg sac. So if you were to bother a wild wolf spider and it had a mommy with an egg sac on it, she would put up her feet and attack you and try to defend her egg sac. As soon as you got the egg sac away from her, though, she would quit trying to defend the egg sac. Isaiah tells us, can a mother forget her sucking child? Yea, they may forget, yet will I will not forget you. That's from Isaiah 49:15. Mother wolf spider might forget her babies once you've taken them away from her. But Jesus isn't like that. He never forgets us. He remembers us through all the difficulties and troubles that we face in life. He's always there to help us through those struggles and to give us a way out when we're exposed to troubles from the devil. All right, we're going to try it here. We'll see how it goes. We fed this wolf spider just a little while ago. They have the really good eyesight. They actively are diurnal and will hunt down their prey. Some of them nocturnal, some diurnal. Diurnal means daytime, nocturnal means nighttime. They see well. At nighttime, you can shine a light, and their eyes are large, and they actually will reflect light back at you. So you can see a wolf spider's eyes at night. Now, hopefully this does not bite me. So far, so good. Oh. This little bitty dot here is all that's left of a fly that spider ate. We'll show you in the video. So just a little bitty dot there. We'll dump it out there. Sucked everything else out of that fly. We're going to show you it eating that. But this is the wolf spider. Most spiders are not too aggressive that we have around here. So I've picked up wolf spiders and things before and not been bitten by them. Sometimes they'll run quick enough that they'll get away from me. We'll see if she'll cross over to the other side. You'll notice that they kind of have two body sections. A head, most insects have three, a head, thorax, and an abdomen. But on spiders, you'll see that the head and the thorax are combined together, making what's called a thessalothorax. And so you'll see kind of two body sections, one here, one here. And they have, wolf spiders here have one set of eyes that are the large ones in the front, that you're going to see here in the video in a moment, that they look around and see with. And then they have three sets of eyes, one almost on the back of their head that allows so they can have almost 360. Oh boy, divisions. All right. I'm going to show you the spider eating. We're going to show you the spider eating here while I work on catching my wolf spider again. I'm going to show you another spider here. I'm going to put it up on the screen. This is my favorite of all spiders. I think I like them even better than tarantulas. See if you can identify what it is. Okay. So the best that I can, these are jumping spiders, and the best that I can tell, this one is either a bold jumping spider or a regal jumping spider. They look the same to me. The males are black and they have some white dots on the abdomen. Their chelyserae are metallic green. And I'm going to show a video here in just a second of this jumping spider eating. They're very active hunters. We have a couple that live in our house. We call one of them Hoppy. It likes to run around the house on the ceiling, and it migrates into my son's bedroom. He doesn't appreciate that very much, but Hoppy seems to like it in there. We migrate it to other parts of the house, but it just comes back each day. Jumping spiders are so cool, I think, because of the hydraulics in their legs, that pressure buildup that we talked about that can pump fluid from their heart into the different leg cavities and give it a hydraulic jump. And they can just leap over a mighty building, at least what would be a mighty building for their height. Jumping spiders will often attach the little piece of silk and then they'll leap, and so they have that silk thread behind them attached to an object that they've leapt from that allows a safety net so that they're not going to fall. It will catch them if they need it to. So jumping spiders have the best eyesight of all the spiders in the spider world. They have 4 sets of eyes, one set in the front that are those large eyes. They use those to actively see and hunt with. They have another set that's kind of placed further back on the head that allows them to get that kind of 360-degree view that they have. And then they have 2 other sets of eyes. Jumping spiders are pretty laid back. I've never had them try to bite me. They get away easily, so we have to be careful with them. So they build little pup tents that they hide in at night. They can build a new one each day, or sometimes they'll reuse some of their little pup tents. They have, there's probably more jumping spiders than any other kind of spider. It's believed they make up about 13% of all the spider species in the world, or all the kinds of spiders. That's a lot. And jumping spiders are unique, I think, in the way that they look so friendly and have those big eyes. It almost looks like they're smiling at you. But another interesting thing is that jumping spiders, one particular, an Asian variety of jumping spider, will actually nurse its young. It provides a gooey substance like milk, where it has protein and sugar and nutrients that the spiderlings need. And the mommy takes care of her little babies and will nurse them for 40 days. And they've done different experiments where they've made it so the babies can't nurse from the mom and where she can't protect them and stuff. And it greatly decreases the likelihood that the spiders will survive without their mother. She takes care of them in her life and nurses them. I thought that's so amazing for a spider. So we want to give you a little chance here to see the jumping spider eat. Okay, I'm going to put up on the screen here another spider and see if you can identify it. Give you a second there. It's pretty common. Here's one that we caught. We actually caught two of these. One was in our car, and the other one we caught, I think, at our house. So this is called a sack spider. Now it's interesting, sack spiders can be attracted to crazy smells sometimes. And one of the smells that they seem to be attracted to is gasoline. So much so that sack spiders started getting attracted to the gasoline vent on fuel tanks on Mazda cars. So much so that they began to build their nests, causing some kind of damage to the car pressure-wise. So Mazda had to recall some of their cars and put in a sensor or change software so that the spiders that built their webs in their fuel tanks weren't messing with their car sensors. I thought that was kind of interesting. This sack spider here, we'll show you a little video of him eating a fly. All right, I'm going to put up on the screen here a picture of the next spider that I've caught here. So see if you can identify it. So I'll give you a second there. This is a spider that it would be good for you to be able to identify. It's called a brown recluse. And usually the way that we think we can identify these is through what appears to be a little violin on its thessalothorax. What looks like a violin. But there are a couple other spiders that have something that look like a violin on their thessalothorax as well. Some types of cellar spiders will have that, and also some types of pirate spiders. So the surefire way, one is to look for the violin, and then to confirm it, you would count the eyes. Brown recluse spiders are one of the few that have 6 eyes instead of 8 eyes. So they're very tiny though, you'd have to get out a microscope, and I don't know about you, but if I see a violin on the back of a spider, I don't get out the microscope to count whether or not it has 6 eyes. Because what we know about the brown recluse spider, this one's eating a fly we gave it earlier, is that they are venomous. Now, most spiders are venomous. In fact, I think all spiders are venomous to a certain degree. They have fangs and they inject venom or stomach acids into their prey. But brown recluse spiders are considered one of the more venomous spiders in the United States. There are 2 basically that we have here. I guess 3 if you want to count the hobo spiders in parts of South United States, or North United States there on the west. But the brown recluse is one of those that's considered poisonous. And they're not real bad, though. Most people think they've been bitten by a brown recluse. Most of the time it isn't. It's usually something else, because there are other things that can cause some of the same issues that the venom of the brown recluse causes. What's interesting about these guys is that they play dead. In fact, I had a different brown recluse the other day in my office at the church, and I looked into the bottle, and the brown recluse looked dead. So I opened the bottle, dumped it out to look at it, and that brown recluse ran away so quick I couldn't catch it. So there's a brown recluse hiding out in my church office. Don't tell my church family. They might not come to visit anymore. We haven't caught him yet. This brown recluse, we caught over at a house that I'm working on. He was hiding in a bucket. They spin an interesting web. It looks just haphazard, just little silk strings in every direction. So it's not really an organized web. Brown recluses can go a long time without food or water too. It's thought that they can go up to 10 months without food or water. Can you imagine going 10 months without eating? I couldn't do it. I'd die. This is a brown recluse. So, can you think of the other spider in North America that's we think of as being very poisonous? I'll put a picture up here on the screen. See if you can identify it. Yeah, it's a black widow. And you see it, you can recognize it by the black appearance on it, and then that red kind of hourglass shape on the abdomen. I had a black widow in my garage one time, and I'd not seen them much as a kid. I was from an area that didn't have them. And this was in Colorado, so it was one of the first black widows that I'd seen. It was a huge one, the biggest black widow I'd ever seen. I didn't realize they got that big. It was in my garage, kind of over in a corner, and I thought, I'm just going to leave that there for a while. I know where it's at. It doesn't seem to go anywhere. Oh, big mistake. The reason that black widow was so large is it was a large mommy black widow, and she spun an egg sac, filled it with eggs, hatched the eggs. Oh, I made such a mistake. For a long while, we were hunting all over my garage. You were afraid to put your hands in anything you couldn't see, buckets and containers and edges of stuff to pick it up, because there were black widows everywhere. It took us a long while to kill off all those black widows. The Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians 15:56, it says, "The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law." The sting of sin is more powerful, though, than any spider. More powerful than a black widow, more powerful than a brown recluse, hobo spider, or any other that you find, because most people don't die from spider bites. But sin is a death guaranteed. But Jesus has the antidote for sin. Jesus' blood that he shed for us. It gives us freedom from sin. It gives us life instead of death on our behalf. I like that. The blood of Jesus helps us, saves us from the sting of death. All right, there are a couple other things I want to share with you. Another spider I want to tell you about is the yellow and black garden spider. It spins a beautiful web. Usually if you go out in the mornings, you can see the webs before they've gotten torn up. But I want to give you your scavenger clue here. I want you to look up the scripture Job 8:14 and find out what in the scripture is related to our topic. Then I want you to snap a picture of it and send it to us. Okay? And here's the text number that you can text it to. Okay? That's the scavenger hunt clue. All right? Yellow and black garden spiders spin the beautiful webs that you'll see hanging from the trees. And in those webs, they have a real nice pattern to them. It's interesting that when they get a parasite in them, the pattern will change. They'll spin a zigzag pattern that's a little different. And so you can look at the web and you can tell whether or not a yellow and black garden spider has been infected with a parasite that begins to secrete enzymes into its nervous system to control the spider. Another interesting thing is that the yellow and black garden spider, when it spins its large web, we've had some at our house, they've been about that big. The interior part of the web, they'll eat that silk and respin that section, but each day they'll leave the outer section. Now when they have babies, they will hatch, and the little spiderlings will spin a long piece of silk, and they will do what's called ballooning. They'll spin a long enough piece that the wind will catch that little piece of silk, and it will carry the little spiderlings off into other areas. Spiders have been seen by people in planes and stuff up to 30,000 feet. They've been float clear up to Mount Everest. They've floated, sailors have seen them out several hundred miles out at sea from those little spiderlings doing what's called ballooning, using that little silk as a parachute to fly into new territory. Another interesting thing about the garden spiders that spin such beautiful webs, one young person did a study to see how alcohol affected them. They tried to inject alcohol into the spiders. Well, it killed the spiders when they injected it, probably because they pierced the body. But what they did next was they injected flies, and then they fed the flies to the garden spider, and the garden spiders got drunk on the alcoholic flies. So what I want you to do is I want you to find another clue. I want you to find a text in the Bible that deals with the dangers of alcohol and send me a text with that scripture reference and what danger you think alcohol has. So when those spiders get drunk, what would happen is they would spin. Normally they have a set pattern to their web, but they would start spinning crazy webs. They couldn't keep the pattern when they were drunk until they finally would pass out. So I thought that was interesting. Well, kids, I hope you have enjoyed learning about spiders and seeing some of the different ones that we caught this week. But I want to finish with a little devotional thought, a story, probably my favorite spider story. Usually we're scared of spiders and we wonder what in the world good are spiders for. But God can actually use a spider. I want to tell you a story about a U.S. Marine. This was during World War II, and he was in the South China Sea on an island there. His unit was heavy in the middle of battle. There was smoke and gunfire every which direction, lots of noise, and all of that in the air, and he got separated from his fellow Marines. And it was in the jungle there, so he began to climb up the side of a cliff area in this jungle and got towards the top, and there were some little caves and things there in the jungle, and he crawled into one of those caves to find shelter because he could hear the Japanese soldiers behind him. So he crawled into this cave and he's talking to God. You know, he's worried, fearful of his life, that they would capture him and kill him. So he's there in the cave and he's looking out of the cave and he's talking to God. You know, God, I love you, he says, but I sure need your help. I'll love you whether or not you help me, but please save me. And so he prays that little prayer, and he's watching there, and he can hear and see the Japanese coming up behind him, up that cliff area and through the jungles there, and there's other little caves there, and they're going into each cave and searching it to see what's in the cave, and he's pretty sure that they're going to find him. And he's beginning to watch as he's looking out. You know, you can't see inside of a cave when you're outside very well. All that dark, there's no light, you can't see very well, but when you're inside a cave and you're looking out, you can see pretty good. So he's watching out the cave and he's seeing those soldiers come up the mountain. And all of a sudden this little spider begins to spin a web over the entrance of his cave. It goes up and down, spins some silk, it's making this web all around his cave. And he's thinking in his head, you know, God, I needed a brick wall and you sent a spider. Boy, you have a sense of humor. But before long, the Japanese soldiers make it all the way up to his cave, and he can see them out there. He's sitting real still. He's getting ready, thinking this is the place to make his last stand. And the Japanese soldiers, they look at the cave. They can't see in it, but they see right there at the entrance of the cave that spider web over the cave. And what do you think when you see a spider web over something? And nobody's gone in there. So they think there's nobody in there, and they move on without searching the cave. You know, God can even use a spider to save a person's life. We know that in the Bible, he's used whales to save people's lives. In Jonah, the story of Jonah and the whale. In the Bible, he's used ravens to save people's lives as well. In the story of Elijah and the ravens. And today, during World War II anyways, God used a spider to save a man's life too. He speaks to all the animals, his creation, and he can use any one of them, even those that we're afraid of, to save our lives. Well, I hope you got all the clues this week from the video, from our treasure hunt, and you're able to find those items and get them to us. Here's the way to send it there on the screen. So have a good evening.
Place. Are you ready, Otong? It's going to be so much fun. Hey, look at that. Can you catch? Ooh, catch? Oh, come on, Otong. Oh. Hi, boys and girls. This is Uncle Bryan, and I'm so glad you're with me today. And with Otong, we've got a story for you, and it's going to be a fun one. Okay, so today's story, you'll need to think of a boy who's probably, this story's coming from Uncle Arthur's Bedtime Stories, classic books with classic stories for classic kids who want to be a real blessing in their families and to everyone around them. So this story has to be in a part of the world where there is a beach. Now, I suppose it wouldn't have to be ocean, so maybe it doesn't have to be Florida. Maybe it could be a beach by a big lake. You know, here in the United States, we have the Great Lakes up here, and there's other big lakes in other parts of the world. So it could be in a lot of different places. But let's say the boy's name is Charlie, and let's just decide that he's probably about 10 years old. And I imagine there's some 10-year-olds watching here today as well, and on the YouTube channel later, gallantly streaming, Uncle Arthur's Bedtime Stories. I'm sorry. Uncle Bryan's Stories Worth Repeating. Yes. But let's imagine that Charlie lives somewhere in the United States and he's by a beach. And so he has been asking his mom over and over again, can we go to the beach? Can we go to the beach? And his mom has said, I'm sorry, Charlie, not this week. People are like, oh, Mom, but I really want to go. I really want to go. I got to play with the ball. I want to go to the beach and have fun. And she said, okay, Charlie, next week we'll go to the beach. And he goes, yay, next week, yay, yay. Okay, and woo, he says, I get to go to the beach next week. All right, yay. And so the whole week he's going to school, he's doing his homework, he's doing what he's got to do, but his mind is on the beach. Absolutely. Well, they wake up in the morning, they're going to go to the beach, and it's raining. It's overcast. And Charlie comes walking into the kitchen, and his head is down, and he's kind of, oh, Mom, this is no good. He starts to whine. And his mother says, no, Charlie. You got to get ready to go to the beach. He says, what? We're going to the beach? She says, of course we're going to the beach. I said we go to the beach, we're going to the beach. So go get your stuff ready. So he goes running out of the kitchen. He goes there and he changes his clothes to put on swimsuit, which Uncle Bryan's not going to put on for you today. And he comes back in there and he's got his ball and he's got a pail and they've got their nice little chairs that they can use on the beach. And he's all excited, and Mother's working there in the kitchen making some nice sandwiches and a picnic lunch with all sorts of cool stuff. And they're getting excited. He's just bouncing off around the walls. Yeah, I can't wait to go. And finally, they get in the car and they drive to the beach. It's kind of rainy. It's not so nice. But as they get to the parking spot, they get all their stuff. They grab their chair. They get the ball, the bucket, and their special shoes and their picnic basket full of great food. And they go running as fast as they can out of the car to go underneath the pier. Now, a pier is something by these beaches. Sometimes it's a big wooden structure, it can be concrete also, that goes out into the water. And a lot of times people will fish from the end of the pier or people will walk there. But when the pier is being built, it's up higher and it goes out into the water, so there's always some sand underneath. And so people, on a day when it's raining, they can be underneath the pier and not be getting dripped on the whole time. So they can still play in the sand, they can do all these great things, and they can run into the water a little bit there underneath the pier and not get all wet. And Charlie's just having a wonderful time. His mom says, "You're being like a real winner. That's so much better than being a whiner." You get that, boys and girls? Winner or whiner? Pretty close. One has two N's. The other switches the N to an H. Whiner. Have you met any whiners in your life? No good. Well, Charlie was a winner. And he was having fun. He was playing, having a good time. And his mom, they were talking and sharing and laughing. And after a while, they noticed that they looked over to the side and there were two older women. Now, you'd think older women would know better because they're usually a lot wiser. But for some reason, these old women, they were sitting in their chairs and they were looking at each other and saying, "I can't believe we came here to the beach today. What a miserable day." Can you imagine? It's not even very warm. The sun isn't out. And that my feet are just getting sandy and ugly. And what a rotten day. And the other one said, "I know. I don't know why I came to the beach today. This is just miserable." What were they doing, boys and girls? They were whining. Wah, 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 wah. Whine, 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 whine. Well, they happened to notice that there, a little ways from them, was this little boy running around, bouncing the ball, playing catch with his mom, having a good old time. He was just having a wonderful time. And then they opened up their picnic lunch and they handed out these nice sandwiches. And they're just, "Oh, this is such a wonderful day, Mom. Thank you so much for bringing me." And he was just being so grateful. And these older women looked over there and said, "Hey, you, what are you so happy for?" You know, they're used to whining. Wah, 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 wah. Are you guys used to that sound yet? Wah, wah, wah. When you ever hear somebody complain, just in your mind think, wah, 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 wah. Whiner, 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 whiner. You don't want to be a whiner, do you, old tongue? No way. No, shake head that way. No way. Don't want to be a whiner. You want to be a winner. Well, those ladies looked over and says, "Little boy, why are you so happy?" And he said, "Oh, so happy to talk to you." And he said, "Would you like some of our lunch? We're having such a wonderful time at the beach today. It's so beautiful. I'm playing in the sand and having this wonderful time." And those ladies, they stopped whining and they started to smile because Charlie was a friend to them. And he came over and they shared some food. Of course, boys and girls, this is not in the time of a virus and all those things. But in this story, they came and they shared and they talked, and it wasn't too long before those whining older women stopped going, wah, 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 and started smiling and started to have fun and started to look out and say, "Ooh, look at the seagull. Oh, look at that. And see, Charlie, if you can get those waves, can you throw a rock in there?" And they started to have a wonderful time because they became winners instead of whiners. So what do you think, boys and girls? Is there ever a chance that you could be a whiner? You know, maybe you've been in the house way too long. Maybe you're getting bored. Maybe your brother or your sister didn't do something you liked. And there's a tendency to go, wah, 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 wah. Don't be a whiner. Be a winner. Choose to see the best. Choose to be thankful. The Bible actually says to give thanks in all things. To be joyful in all things, to rejoice always. And again, it says rejoice. Choose to be a winner. Choose to see the best. And have a wonderful day. And Otong and Uncle Bryan, we say thanks for coming. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.